Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're off to a great start in your fantasy league. We welcome you to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. 3 games in the books, 2 more on Saturday, the rest on Sunday and Monday. And we're going to preview 6 games today, mostly NFC home games. Dave Richard, our slate today is Baltimore at Green Bay, Chicago at San Francisco, game of the week, Giants at the Raiders, Seattle at Carolina, Rams at Falcons, and Arizona at Cincinnati. And how was your Christmas?
It was awesome. I worked and stayed away from family. My family went to the beach. I didn't have to go. That's good. And then dinner at the house while I watched the Lions implode. And then a really terrible game Sunday night. But it was fun. It's always great being with family. Hopefully everybody got a chance to at least talk to people in their family and wish them a Merry Christmas and have a good time together, hopefully.
Yeah, I played Clue Jr. last night with my
Clue
family.
Jr.?
Yeah, I've never played.
How does that go? Because that's obviously not like, is it like who stole the bunny rabbit?
It's who broke the toy at what time.
Ah.
Yeah, so a little less violent than Clue Sr. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
Let's go over the games from Thursday. We're not going to do it in the same way we usually do. We'll kind of run through it quickly because the most important thing here is start or sit for those games. Jamie should be on pretty soon, by the way. Here's a fun fact. You know, why do people listen to this show? You want to hear things on this show that you will not hear anywhere else. So, Dave, fun fact about these games. If you played the Super Bowl Squares game, you know, where you get the numbers, the random numbers, and you got a 0 for the road team and a 3 for the home team, you would have won the final score of all 3 games. And that's why vote for us. Okay. Can you name the top 5 overall scorers in 6-point per passing touchdown PPR leagues from yesterday's games?
Are we including DSTs?
No.
Are we including quarterbacks?
Yes.
Okay. So Dak's got to be up there.
He's 1.
Sure. Aaron Jones is probably up there.
6.
Was Cavante Turpin up there on 1 catch?
5.
He had to be. Yeah.
5. Yeah.
RJ Harvey.
Yeah, he's 4.
So I'm missing 2 and 3?
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to miss 2 and 3?
Dak 1, Harvey 4, Turpin 5. Number 2 and number 3.
Did St. Brown score enough in PPR?
No.
I didn't think he did. Oh, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, for crying out loud.
He's 2. Good job.
Who am I missing on 3? This is crazy.
Jamie gets a chance to steal.
Jamie,
5.
What do I have? 3 seconds left?
4, 3.
Addison couldn't have done it on 1 play.
All right, Jamie, I'm asking for the top 5 scorers in PPR league, 6-point per passing touchdown last night. We have Dak 1, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt on 11 carries, scoring 22.5 fantasy points, 2. RJ Harvey 4, Cavante Turpin 5. Who's Dave?
Oh, I know who it is.
3. The quarterbacks included?
Yeah.
So Bo Nix.
It is Bo Nix.
Wait a minute. No, it's Brandon Aubrey.
No kickers, no DSTs.
Kickers should be in there.
All right.
Mike Steely. He loves kickers.
We have Javonte Williams with the shoulder injury, and so you could be starting Malik Davis in Week 18 if you're playing against the Giants. Don't know the severity. We had Taylor Decker miss the game with an illness, the left tackle for the Lions, and Jared Goff had his worst game since Week 7 of 2022. Scored 4.1 fantasy points. Jamie, any major, like I said, we're going to just kind of focus on start or sit today, but any major takeaways from any of the games yesterday?
A lot of people are chasing points this weekend. So it's going to maybe alter a few of your lineup decisions, but I mean, nothing from the games. I thought that the Lions passing game would struggle. So that wasn't a surprise. The Vikings defense is just amazing. It's a shame. I think you said this when we were texting about it last night, Adam, like they're just championship defense getting wasted right now by poor quarterback play, which sucks. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful the Vikings figure out their quarterback situation because it's a shame to watch, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and, when TJ Hawkinson's healthy, like it just was rough all season. Nothing really though. I think from this, like, what the Chiefs are at this point. Trying to think, we'll see who's the quarterback for the Commanders. And if, Chris Rodriguez plays, I hope they just feed Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt because that was fun. And it was really cool. I'm sure you guys saw with right as Clinton Portis jumps on the broadcast. Yes. He goes for the big run. Kind of reminds you of some of the runs Portis had. But yeah, nothing really changes. No.
Okay.
If you first of all, you had Jared Goff ranked too high, Jamie.
I did.
And I had him ranked even worse. If you could like boil it down to one word to describe how Goff played, one word, what word might you pick?
Oh no. What one
No,
must
I have a good one. He was golful.
Okay.
Yeah, he was under pressure.
Vintage end of Rams Jared Goff. And the offensive line was a huge problem. And you saw Taylor Decker inactive, and you knew that things could go sideways pretty quickly.
There's been this stat floating around about Detroit.
By the way, they almost kept the streak alive. 4th down play that Isaac Tesla had to go and make a heroic touchdown catch. If he doesn't get that catch, they break the record. 7 straight games of not allowing a touchdown pass.
Oh,
They suck.
This stat's been going around that the Vikings won the game despite having fewer than 10 net passing yards. So Max Brosmer threw for 51 yards, but he was sacked 7 times for 48 yards. So 3 net passing yards. They are the 3rd team in the last 40 seasons to win a game with fewer than 10 net passing yards, according to ESPN. There's some other ones too, but winning by 10 or more points with fewer than 10 net passing yards. It was crazy. Just a few things I want to mention here. You look at some players who had bad games. Honestly, the Gibbs game, it doesn't even shock me the way the Vikings have defended pass catching running backs. It's amazing, but it's, you're never going to sit them. CeeDee Lamb was open on 2 deep balls. Yep. Dak underthrew him twice. Mm-hmm. One of the plays was a great play by the Commanders defensive back. You had Cortland Sutton, was real frustrating for me. I mean, you can't argue with the targets, 10 targets. He had 3 consecutive plays of almost touchdowns, basically, that they had to settle for a field goal. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, if I remember, had an almost touchdown, or a Goff missed him when he was open or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but there were some opportunities. Pickens was the one that was just like, really? What? That was weird. But all right, those are your games. Sunday, remember, listen, it's really important to stay in touch. Call us, watch us on Sunday, because we're going to have weather updates. We're going to have injury updates. There were no practices yesterday, so we don't really have a ton of injury updates. Except
I think the Cardinals practice.
Well, almost no practices. Lamar Jackson is doubtful. That's one of the only situations we have any clarity on.
My favorite one was the Tampa Bay sent out their expected practice report without practicing and had Mike Evans DNP with rest.
It's Christmas. He's resting. Anyway, so Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today will help you out for 2 hours. So the news and notes, we talked about this yesterday. The Rams and the Steelers may have basically nothing to play for, or at least they'll have clinched playoff spots. Rams have already done that, but the Rams could be eliminated from the division by the time they play Monday. If the Ravens lose on Saturday, which comes more likely with Lamar Jackson doubtful, then the Steelers don't really have much to play for the next day. So it's just something to keep in mind.
I think in the case of the Rams, and Dave, you probably could check this quicker than me or Adam will. They would probably want to play the South winner, and I wonder how much that factors into winning or losing.
Well, by getting the top wild card seed.
Yeah.
Right. So that means that they would want to have the 5 seed, because the South winner would be the 4 seed. Currently, they're behind San Francisco for that seed. So
right, but the loser of the week 18 game between Seattle and San Francisco may matter to the Rams if they lose twice.
Right. It's a reason for LA to play.
Yeah.
And obviously they're preparing like they have to play and play their starters for as much of the game as possible, because what if San Francisco loses? What if Seattle loses somehow? It is Carolina. Rams lost to Carolina. So
they're giving them a game too.
Yeah, they've got to. They're not giving Jimmy Garoppolo a ton of reps this week. Let's put it that way. I'm sure Stafford's taking most of the reps in practice like usual. So that leads me to believe that they'll at least play until the game is out of hand one way or the other. They might not put a lot of wrinkles out there and things that like teams could use against them in the playoffs, But you're right. There's definitely something to playing against Carolina or Tampa in the first round versus Philadelphia or Chicago in the first round.
Make sure if you're on CBS, Jamie, you listening? Make sure your league, including the Superflex league that you might be the commissioner of,
Oh boy,
as it's set up so that you can make ad drops with 5 minutes before game time of each player, not 5 minutes before Sunday's first game time. Okay. Just in case.
Well, at least make sure that you know what the rule is.
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford's inactive. It was probably not going to happen, but just allow your managers to make ad drops Sunday night. All right. So
You
Lamar
could be the
Jackson.
commissioner of that league next year.
What'd you say? Well, you just have to change that one setting.
No, I'll tell you what. You do that one. I'll do Big Burger, and I'll give myself back all the players you stole from me.
Lamar Jackson's doubtful. Jordan Love still limited. Hopeful that he'll play. That game Saturday, which is one of the first ones we'll talk about today. Still don't know about Josh Jacobs. Dylan Sampson got
Jacobs was off the injury report.
Oh, then we do know about Josh Jacobs. That's great news. Okay. Dylan Sampson limited. Woody Marks practiced in full. Kamani Vidal, we're not sure about yet. That's a Saturday game. Same with Travion Henderson. That's a Sunday game. Wide receiver news. Not expecting Devontae Adams at this point. Did you guys rank Ricky Pearsall?
We
Not
haven't
yet, but he's trending in the right direction.
Okay. Luther Burden's trending in the right direction. Romo Dunze is not. A.J. Brown, we think, is going to play despite getting his wisdom teeth removed. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs practice in full on Wednesday. Tight end, no Brock Bowers. I don't know about George Kittle. They say he has a chance to play. You should be prepared for Kittle not to play. Just be prepared.
It's Jake Tonjes.
Yeah, I think it's just easy to just handcuff Kittle at this point because you should have the bench space for carrying two players like that. I have one Kittle league where I picked up both Tongas. It's a 10-team league, so he was available, but both Tongas and Colston Loveland. So I'm giving myself both options if Kittle does not play.
I'm doing something similar in a league where I have Brock Bowers, and Bowers is on IR. I don't want to replace him with Michael Mayer. That's an okay option, but if Kittle's out, Tongas could absolutely have a game like we saw from him earlier in the year. I'm going to want pieces of that game between the Niners and the Bears.
I think the only problem with that, Dave, is we may not know until game time or inactives for your situation.
Sure.
It's Sunday night. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And David Njoku is probably not going to play. And I'm also keeping an eye on TJ. No, that's not going to matter for fantasy, but all right, let's move on. We're going to take a quick break. One question for each game. We break down 6 games when we come back on Fantasy Football Today.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it? Can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Baltimore's at Green Bay. Any hesitation starting the running backs in this game, assuming Lamar Jackson's out and we don't know about Jordan Love? But Dave, any hesitation starting the running backs in Baltimore at Green Bay?
I'm good with Derrick Henry. I'm good with Emmanuel Wilson if Josh Jacobs is out. If Jacobs plays, I will be reluctant to start him because I just don't know how healthy he is. And you can't use Wilson if Jacobs is active either.
I like the fact that Jacobs practiced this week. So last week did not practice at all. This week getting in a couple limited sessions. And the fact that he's off the injury report, I think, is a huge positive.
This is a crazy stat. A running back has scored 15 or more PPR fantasy points in 9 of the last 10 games against the Ravens. That's amazing, but it's not a lot of yards. It's touchdowns, maybe catches. They're not exactly getting run on, but they are giving up a ton of fantasy points. Almost every week, 15 or more PPR fantasy points to running back. All right, Jamie, Chicago's at San Francisco. Is DJ Moore still a start if Luther Burden plays?
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's going to be in that 5 to 7 target range. That's what he's been almost the entire stretch of the second half of the season with Odunze and Burden in, with one of them out. I just think this game, like Dave said, this game has a chance to get loose, and you want pieces of this passing attack right now for the Bears because I think they're going to have to push the score. So I think that, like right now, I have Moore as a number 1 receiver with both guys not ranked. He will be I would like him still better than Burden right now, just because I don't know where Burden's at from a health perspective. So they'll both be in that 20 to 30 range. More still ahead of Burden, but both guys startable.
Dave, Giants are at the Raiders. Start any Giants players with confidence?
Not really. I mean, there's Wandale, but we loved Wandale last week. We love Wandale every week, it feels like, and you never know which way it's going to go. I don't really like trusting this offense right now, especially after last week. Tracy's okay. Wandale's okay. I prefer not Theo Johnson. It doesn't have much to do with the matchup. Obviously, the matchup isn't scary, but questionable game plans, questionable motivation. The Giants have been so good at losing all year long, and now there's offensive line issues on top of it. It makes me very hesitant to start a Giants player.
Okay.
Just one thing to keep an eye on there is I saw one of the Raiders beat writers suggest that with Bowers getting shut down and Crosby on the injury report every week, do they consider sitting him this week?
Also, to be fair to Wandale Robinson, he had 58% of their receiving yards last week.
Yes, he did.
19 of 33.
He also is a monster on the road. He averages 15.8 PPR points on the road.
Oh, hey. Seattle's at Carolina. Jamie, do you like any running back in this game?
I mean, yes. Love, no. I think you look at Walker, and hopefully what we saw last week can carry over to this week. Charbonnet's got an opportunity to score touchdowns. The Panthers give up a ton of touchdowns all season, have given up a ton of touchdowns all season to running backs. And then Dowdle and not even Chuba, but Dowdle is a flex. So depending on what you need, I think you can get away with it. But Love, no. Walker's the highest one I have ranked, and I think he's 24th.
Ken Walker or Tyrone Tracy?
Tracy.
Okay. Dave, the Rams are at the Falcons. Who do you like better? Drake London or Kyron Williams?
Kyron.
Why?
Just hoping that he comes through for a touchdown. Does that pretty often. Drake London didn't look right last week, and I don't know how much healthier he'll be this week, especially since Kyle Pitts just is absolutely taking off as the best option for now in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, Drake London is a tough call. Yeah, he got 8 targets last week. Just couldn't really connect, and he's playing hurt, but he's playing a lot of the snaps. All right. Arizona's at Cincinnati.
It's a no-brainer in non-PPR or half PPR.
I don't mind going kind of in depth on this one because this is the last one we're talking about, and I feel like there's only one really tough call. There's Michael Carter, who you might use, but Michael Wilson. What am I missing with Michael Wilson? Because I feel like I could make 4 or 5 good cases as why we should sit Michael Wilson, and one case to why we should start Michael Wilson. So let me just start with this, Jamie. Michael Wilson has not had a single good game with Marvin Harrison Jr. playing. Harrison Jr. came back last week, and Michael Wilson got 3 targets. Harrison only had 2. But is that not simple enough, right? He's never had a good game this year with Marvin Harrison Jr. Why would I even consider starting Michael Wilson?
2 things. One, expected volume from the Cardinals. So I think that played into last week more so than any other game that we saw from the 2 of them together. And then I would say they're going to make an effort, and this is just me assuming, so take that for what it's worth. You know what happens when you assume things, that they are going to try and get Michael Wilson to 1,000 yards receiving. So he's within striking distance. I think that's something that probably has been a conversation between Jacoby Brissett and Michael Wilson. That happens with the players all the time.
Dude, he does have 2 games left. 818 yards.
Yeah. So, and Marvin Harrison's still not healthy. So you can take these things for what it's worth. One of the beat writers for the Cardinals, I forget who it is, so I apologize, keeps noting the rotation of the receivers and who goes first in their drills. And the last 2 weeks, it's been Michael Wilson ahead of Marvin Harrison. So, again, that means nothing because they're both on the field at the same time, and targets are targets. I believe they both had 3 targets last week, Harrison and Wilson.
Sorry. Yeah.
So this should be a huge Trey McBride game.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there's room for both receivers to have some production, and I still favor Wilson over Harrison. But I'm with you. It's not easy. It's just I look at my Michael Wilson lineups and I see our projections are through the roof, from Sportsline, and it's like I get why, because of the numbers that he's put up, but I also get why that's challenged because of the numbers that he's not put up when Marvin Harrison's been healthy. So it's not a slam dunk. I think he's a number 2 receiver for a reason. If there was no Marvin Harrison, he would be a top 5 guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me give you, and again, we're not going to talk about Michael Wilson later in the show, but he's so interesting. So let me give you 3 other things that concerned me. 1, the Bengals allow the 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. 2, the slot rate. He's been much worse out of the slot. And last week, his slot rate jumped up to 33%, Michael Wilson. It was usually around 18% during his hot stretch. And with Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field, 58.3% slot rate for Michael Wilson. And then there's this weird thing. The Cardinals have the highest percentage of 3 tight end sets in the NFL in their last 3 games. They're playing with much bigger personnel, and it's led to a decrease in routes run from Michael Wilson. It's still good, but instead of running 90% of the routes or more, he's running about 80% of the routes. So these are things that are working against him. I believe he's about 15th in your rankings, but Dave, I know you want to get a word in on Michael Wilson.
Well, I mean, let's look at some positives with him first and foremost. And it's that he's a red zone target, an end zone target. He has 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. I think it's easy to take a big step back as far as target expectations go. Look at what his targets have been when Marvin Harrison's been out. They've been 10 plus every single time. And with Marvin Harrison on the field, it's been 7 or less all season long. So if you're expecting around 7 or 8 targets, and 8 might be a stretch, let's be real, then Michael Wilson will be good, not great. I also think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be one of those games where the defenses just are not going to show. Cincinnati still can't get pressure on the quarterback. They would have given up a lot more in yardage to Miami if Quinn Ewers had been more accurate. I went back and I watched the game because I felt like a goofball yesterday when I was talking about the Dolphins. I wanted to make sure I was on top of it. And longer throws from Quinn Ewers were off the mark. If they were more accurate, Cincinnati would have given up a huge game to Jalen Waddle. I think Jacoby Brissett will be accurate on those longer throws, and I think he's going to make a bunch of them. Wilson is certainly capable of catching them. And because it's going to be a high-scoring game, this is another game you're going to want pieces of. Easy to say with Cincinnati and easy to say with Arizona too, with the exception of Marvin Harrison Jr. and maybe Michael Carter, because those guys just haven't been good recently. The last point I'll make is, what receivers are you starting over Michael Wilson at this point?
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of guys that are doing what Michael Wilson is capable of doing. And you can't even rule out that Wilson can have a good game, even with Marvin Harrison playing however much he's playing. Harrison,
I can't rule it out, but it hasn't happened one time.
No, but last week was as good as it got. It was 13 PPR points.
Dude, it was a lucky as hell 13 right? He had
he had that big cat, the touchdown cat. I get it. But I don't think they just turn off Michael Wilson like a light switch just because Marvin Harrison's on the field. That was a bad game overall for Arizona last week.
Yeah. So listen,
Michael Wilson still did well for them.
I sit here and say all these things. It doesn't mean I might be leaning more toward you where you guys are. I've got 3 receivers and I have to pick 2. And I've got him, I've got Michael Wilson, I've got Christian Watson, which would be a very Jordan Love dependent, and I've got Ricky Pearsall. And if George Kittle is out, I don't think I have the guts to start Pearsall over Wilson, but wouldn't shock me. That's where I'm at right now.
I mean, look, you have 3 volatile receivers. It's clearly easier if Harrison's not there, but you have 3 volatile receivers. And we don't know if Harrison, a week playing, is now healthier, because last week we got the report that they were going to ease him back in, which clearly they did. Only 29 snaps, which was, I believe, a season low in any game that he's been healthy. I just think that, again, I look at end of season numbers sometimes, and I know how players talk. And I'm going to guess Brissett, who, as the backup quarterback, was the one who gifted his offensive linemen their presence. I'm sure, as a veteran guy, knowing what a milestone like that means to Michael Wilson, I believe going into free agency, I'm sure, hey, I'll feed you a little bit more this week, or hey, you'll be my read on this play or that play or whatever. Those things are talked about all the time.
All right. Well, there's also the possibility
contract year next year.
There's also the possibility that DJ Turner goes to Marvin Harrison, and the coverage is easier for Michael Wilson.
So it's funny you say that, because that typically is what a lot of situations warrant. And the example I'll give you is, if you were to say right now, we study this all the time, but if you were to say right now, where should have Patrick Surtain gone last week if you were facing the Jaguars?
I think it made sense for him to go to Brian Thomas Jr.
I get that because of what Thomas's ability is, but who was their best receiver going into that game last week?
It was Myers, but
So what did they do? They put Surtain on Thomas, and they bracketed Myers, and they put Moss on Washington.
I don't know if they put Moss on Washington.
Well, I mean, essentially that's how it worked out.
A few times, yeah.
So if you're looking at it, the big play threat for the Cardinals is still Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
And so if they're going to shadow somebody, that's probably what they do.
That's what I think, yeah. All right, let's go to all right. Yeah, let's do Baltimore Green Bay. But before we do that, it is time for football at BetMGM. And when you register with BetMGM, you're going to get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, boost tokens, and the best daily promotions in the business. And when you huddle up with BetMGM at your fingertips, every pass, every catch, and every game matter more than ever. Don't miss out on any of the hard-hitting action. Place your money line, prop, and parlay bets with BetMGM today. All right, Baltimore's at Green Bay. So we are going to approach this as if Lamar Jackson, players are listed as doubtful, almost never play. So assuming he's out, you guys are still confident in Derrick Henry, but should you be? I mean, it's kind of a tough matchup. And he was good. He was good in the one game with Tyler Huntley. He had a ton of carries, and it was against the Bears, who at the time, I think were really bad. I'm not sure if Edwards is playing in that game. But Jamie, I heard Dave briefly talk about it. He says he's good with Derrick Henry. You feel good about it? You feel okay?
I'm going to lower him a little bit, but he's still going to be a number 2 running back. I mean, that's going to be what their game plan is to ride Derrick Henry as much as possible. And so this Packers run defense, I think has shown that without Wyatt, without Parsons, with Parsons, like they're still very good, obviously. And this is going to be a very stripped down offense without Lamar Jackson there in terms of the fear of what you're dealing with here. But my guess is after everything that Harbaugh dealt with last week, it's going to be feed Derrick Henry as much as possible, and hopefully he can break a run or get close to the goal line that he scores. It's clearly a different confidence level, has to be, with a backup quarterback there in an offense that may not score very much. So I'm still hopeful, but man, it's not ideal to have what has been a very solid player over the last month, kind of not have everything around him working as well as it should be.
Yeah, and also if Jordan Love plays, if they get blown out, or not blown out, but if they're trailing by 10 or something like that, that's a really bad game script for Derrick Henry. We've seen it play out where if they don't keep it close, they lost from weeks 4 through 6, they lost by 17, 34, and 14 points. He had 8, 15, and 24 carries. So there's a lot of downside, I think, for Henry, especially in full PPR leagues. He'll come off the field if they're trailing. All right, Dave, who's the best wide receiver in this game?
Is Jordan Love playing or not?
Give me both scenarios.
I think I can make the case that the upside is worth it for Christian Watson if Jordan Love plays. Outside of that, it's still Zay Flowers, but I'm not excited about Zay Flowers. He's more of like a borderline number 2, number 3 type of wide receiver. I do not like the track record of wide receivers with Tyler Huntley in Huntley's starts or Huntley overall. Only 2 times as a receiver had 15 plus with Huntley at quarterback. Tight ends have actually fared better. Running backs have actually done a nice job catching passes. He keeps it short. And so Zay Flowers, you're hoping for a couple of breakout plays like we've seen from him, and we've seen him get taken away from over the last month or so of the season.
I mentioned this on the Tough Calls episode, but there have been 3 games in which Tyler Huntley's come in. One game where he started and threw 22 passes. Zay Flowers has a 33.3% target share. And the one game he played with Huntley, he had 7 catches for 63 yards on 9 targets.
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel like
that's flexy for sure?
Does that feel that's a start? I think 13.3
at this point, maybe so. After what we've seen so far,
that would be better than Pickens and Lamb.
Yeah,
and
right.
Jefferson. But does that feel like a realistic, line? 13.
I think he can get close to that. Sure.
Okay.
I think as we just got through talking about Michael Wilson, like you're going to have a pretty either very high confidence level in some of these number 3 receivers with upside, like the Alec Pierces of the world, the Christian Watsons of the world, to sit Zay Flowers with the amount of targets he's probably going to get.
yeah, with Watson on Sunday night, I mentioned that his target per route run rate has been like really, really good recently. 26.3% target per route run rate or higher in 4 of his last 5 games. And he's practicing in full this week. So hopefully the route participation rate will get back into the 80% range. And if Jordan Love plays, I don't know, he's getting end zone targets. He's kind of having one of his best stretches of his career.
The last 2 healthy games for them, because the Denver game Watson left and the Bears game Love left, the last 2 healthy games for them, they were awesome.
Yeah.
Very
And
much
so clearly there's a connection that's working here. And it's kind of coincided with Watson filling in, not clearly the same way, but filling in with Tucker Kraft leaving. So when they get Watson back after Kraft's injury, this becomes their best pass catcher, clearly. I would get away from Dobbs because Dobbs really struggled the stretch of Watson being healthy. And so he had a great game last week, but I don't think that's anything sustainable.
Mhm.
And clearly Matthew Golden is not anyone you can trust. Neither is who am I blanking on?
Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed, yeah. Just in terms of what he has done or really the lack thereof. So I think it's Flowers on one side, it's Watson on the other, and just you sort of treat them as number 2, borderline number 3 receivers, depending on where you sort of shake out with your team. So in your case, like Watson versus Wilson, I think that's close if Jordan Love's healthy.
Yeah. I wish Jackson were playing for the Ravens, get a little more need for passing the ball. But if Watson, if it's Malik Willis, what's the difference in ranking, Jamie, for Watson with Love versus with Willis?
So right now we have it ranked as if Willis is playing. And I believe I have Watson somewhere around like 29 or 30. If Love is playing, Watson will bump up about 5 or 6 spots.
Okay. Dave, let's talk about Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson. What's your confidence level in the Packers backfield?
If there's no Jacobs, if they end up resting him, I would like Emmanuel Wilson quite a bit. If it's Jacobs active, I don't know he's going to get his usual workload. I don't know how efficient he'll be. I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt on those things, but they creep into the back of my mind. And therefore, Jacobs isn't a usual top 10 type of running back. He's going to be in that top 15 to 20 type range in that type of situation. You got to see how practice turns out on Friday and what they end up doing for the game.
So again, Jacobs is off the injury report. So he's
Is it like, hold on, is the injury report in for Green Bay or are they releasing?
Well, he was not listed as anything limited. He was, from what I saw, Jacobs removed from the injury report. So
okay. So here, I usually don't look at this stuff until Friday, but they play on Saturday, so it's worth looking at now. Jacobs limited all week, not on the injury report. He's playing.
So I think, you talked about the scenarios for the Steelers and the Rams. The Packers can still win the division. And so they need to win this game and then figure out what happens with the Bears on Sunday night.
Okay.
Correct.
Now,
Yep.
So they may go full go with Jacobs and sit him next week.
I am seeing that Christian Watson, by the way, did not practice. Was
Right.
listed as did not practice but no, he was full did not practice, but I think it's an illness.
He does have an illness. You are correct. Yes. I saw
Okay.
one of the beat writers say that.
And he's questionable for the game.
Locker room.
Yeah,
So,
with the illness, but I think he's healthy in terms of the
chest. Yes.
shoulder, chest.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So
I'll just say for Jacobs, I think you just treat him as number 2 running back at this point. Last week they were very comfortable going to Emmanuel Wilson. It coincided with Jacobs fumbling, but as Matt LaFleur said, they just thought Wilson was playing better than Jacobs at that point. So who knows how much of that carries over to this week. I'm going to guess that if they have, it's kind of twofold, because if they have an opportunity to play with a lead late in the game, it's probably going to be Wilson just to make sure Jacobs is healthy. But I think if they get there, it's because Jacobs did something to help them get there. So if I have Jacobs, most likely I'm starting.
okay, Jacobs or Ramondre?
It's so dependent on Travion.
It sure is. If there's no Travion, I'm starting Ramondre.
Agreed.
If there's no Travion, okay, never mind.
But I will say this: if Travion plays, they are close. Stevenson will still be a number 2 running back for me.
Yeah, but I'd take Jacobs over him.
Correct.
Jacobs or Kyron Williams?
Kyron.
I have Kyron as of now,
Jacobs or Michael Wilson?
Jacobs.
especially if catches aren't full.
All right. I think that's it. Oh, starter sit Jordan Love. The Raven, if he plays. Ravens have given up some fantasy points. 3 of the last 4 games, I think, been kind of struggling against quarterbacks.
Yeah, the one that didn't was Burrow in that strange game. He'll be a low-end starter.
I wouldn't start him over Caleb or Hurts or Brissett. I would start him over Shuck, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so right now I think I have Shuck at 12. That's probably where Love will go, and Shuck will bump down.
All right, Packers DST or Rams DST?
I would go Packers.
I've got Rams one spot ahead of the Packers.
Zay Flowers or Emeka Ibuka?
Zay Flowers.
All right, that's
Flowers.
All right,
It's really like a no confidence vote.
I feel like
vote in
you
Ibuka.
you take a lot of Jeff's questions because of The Simpsons.
I have no idea. I do not pick anyone's questions based on anything other than
I think you do.
I
mean, look, Jeff asked a lot of great questions, but I think it's because you love The Simpsons, which is fine, and he has The Simpsons out. Like, he knows how to get to you. Like, you avoid a lot of a lot of people use the picture of you getting scared.
I don't avoid that at all. I don't avoid
sometimes you
anything.
do.
I don't think he avoids it.
Packers or Saints?
Packers. I mean, they're facing Tyler Huntley at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were talking about this yesterday on the pregame show on HQ that this is one of those games where you're playing with a backup quarterback. You're going on the road in the cold at night. Like, this could be ugly.
By the way, last thing here. What was I going to say? Oh, is there any chance you think that Malik Willis and Jordan Love both don't play?
I mean, there has to be a chance of it. They're both listed as questionable.
Right.
But they were limited in practice all week, which means it's probably unlikely that their third stringer got a lot of reps in.
Jordan Love was taking all the first team reps, as far as I understand.
Okay, that sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah, well, listen, he's just got to clear a concussion protocol. So
right,
if he clears, he's going to play
for sure. Yeah, I might expect Jordan Love at this point.
Okay, taking a break. Chicago at San Francisco when we come back.
They want to take this place from us. My family is in danger. My wife is lost to me, and I don't have time.
1923, new season now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Caleb Williams is QB 10 for Dave, Jamie, and Heath. Your stat of the game, I'll sum it up like this. Caleb Williams does well in good matchups, and good quarterbacks do well against San Francisco. So Dave mentioned it was a player that he loved yesterday. So Caleb Williams is a start as QB 10, just behind Jalen Hurts. Jamie, give me your thoughts on the Bears running backs. We did talk about them on the Wednesday Tough Call show, but it's a somewhat confident ranking for DeAndre Swift, given that he's struggled in 4 of his last 6 games. Would you start Swift or Jacobs?
Right now, Swift, but that could change as I evaluate it again later today. But I think you just look at Swift in this matchup. Dave said it best. A lot of this is based on what the expected score could be and how these two teams should be able to, or lack thereof, defend each other. So Swift's still the lead running back. I still expect him to get enough work. And if they are chasing points, I like him better in a game where they're going to use him in the passing downs role. So he's a number 2 running back. Again, it'll sort of shake out a little bit where maybe he's closer to 20 than he is to 12, but still a guy that you should plan on. I have him in a couple finals. I'm starting.
Okay. This is an easy one for us. Question from the chat. Swift or Rico Dowdle? We're definitely going Swift here.
Yep.
Yes.
And Dave, Jamie talked about DJ Moore, how he's a number 1 receiver right now, but if Luther Burden plays, he'd still rank him ahead of Luther Burden. He'd be a number 2 receiver. Before Luther Burden's injury, we were ranking Burden ahead of DJ Moore. He was coming on strong. He scored 14 plus PPR fantasy points on 39% of the snaps in the most recent game he played, Luther Burden. This was looking like an emergence. How are you feeling about the wide receivers?
I'm still going to start Moore over Burden, but it's going to be very close. And you've been riding the bolt of lightning with DJ Moore over the last 2 weeks. Just some clarity on his last 2 games. Before that big 46-yard game-winning overtime touchdown last week, DJ Moore had 9.1 PPR points. And after Luther Burden got hurt 2 weeks ago, and that was a big game for DJ Moore and scored a red zone touchdown. After that, he still had 9.2 PPR points. So I feel like there's no question that there's a chance that DJ Moore doesn't get the same type of opportunity. And if he doesn't have those magical touchdowns, that he's going to be really bad for your fantasy team. So there's risk with him for sure. That being said, this is a 49ers defense that can't pressure the quarterback. Phillip Rivers just had a decent game throwing the ball, and he had a couple of deep touchdowns last week. And so DJ Moore should be in line to be at least a number 2 fantasy wide receiver, and Luther Burden should be a high-end flex.
Okay. Jamie, if Burden plays, where would you rank him?
In the top 30, so high end number 3 receiver, borderline number 2 guy.
Okay. So how about Christian Watson versus Luther Burden?
I'll take Watson if Jordan Love plays, but they'll be close.
Agreed.
Okay. How about Luther Burden or DeAndre Swift in full PPR?
I'd probably still stick with Swift. I'm hoping that Burden is healthy. I'm glad that he's going to play. But coming off of what I think was reported as a high ankle sprain, so 2 weeks, week and a half out, you want to be a little bit cautious with it.
That's a great point. You said earlier I think it was you picked up Tonjes and Loveland
In a 10-team league, yes.
Who are you going to go with?
I'll probably go with Tonjes, especially if Burden plays. If Burden is out, I might go Loveland. I just think you look at what Tonjes did in the games where Kittle was out. Remember, Kittle missed the weeks 3 through 6, I believe it was, or 2. I forget what he hurt his hamstring.
He got hurt in week 1. I think he missed 2 through 6.
Okay, so he missed 2 through 5. So 4 games he was out.
Okay.
Tonjes was good, and that wasn't all with Brock Purdy. So the way Purdy's playing right now, I think you just trust the San Francisco offense a little bit more. So the problem with Loveland is he's had a good stretch. He's had a nice month to close the season, but it's been in that 10 PPR point range without a touchdown. And you're looking at still Cole Kmet being part of this. I thought last week, no Burden, no Dunze, Loveland was going to see more targets. Forget about the, results. I thought he'd be more involved, and he wasn't, so the Bears can be weird. They can come out and Ben Johnson just says, we're going to try and run the ball and keep the ball out of Brock Purdy's hands. And, everything Dave said about Caleb Williams is right, no pass rush and whatever. And that's just the MO for the Bears. Last week was a weird game because remember the Packers just did everything they possibly could to keep the ball away from the Bears. So time of possession was kind of skewed. So I think that factors into some of it, but I like Loveland. I think there's a great opportunity for him. I'm just going to, aside from maybe Pearsall, like if I could push my chips in the middle of the table with 49ers guys, I want to do so. So Purdy, McCaffrey, tight end, and Jennings. I think all those guys have a chance to continue to play well.
Yeah, Purdy. I don't know if there's anything else we have to say about the. We should do some more Loveland. Let's finish off with Colson Loveland here, because he basically never gets a target share higher than 18% or so, as Jamie was kind of alluding to. So, one person asked Loveland or Taysom Hill.
Loveland.
It totally comes down to what you think you're going to get out of Taysom Hill. I'm going to go Loveland because I'm not ready to buy into Taysom Hill being a featured part of the Saints offense.
And here's a question: Loveland or Kittle? You just heard Jamie break that. Loveland or Tonjes? I mean, you just heard Jamie break that down. Dave, who would you go with, Loveland or Tonjes?
Tonjes if there's no Kittle, no question.
Okay. How about Loveland or you're going to go Juwan Johnson over Loveland?
Yep.
How about Loveland or Dallas Goedert?
I would take Goddard.
I would take.
I know that it's the scary matchup against Buffalo, but I like the role that he's had in Philadelphia over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would take the easier matchup and the game that's expected to be more high scoring.
Okay. Brock Purdy is 5th for you guys. So Purdy or Lawrence?
Yes.
I have Purdy one spot higher as of now.
I'll take Lawrence, but it's very close.
All right. Start Brock.
I'm sorry, I have Lawrence one spot higher.
Okay. Are you going to? Is there a scenario where you're not starting Juwan Jennings? Like Kittle plays, Pearsall plays. Would you sit Jennings, or would you maybe make him a flex or something like that?
No, I just think you hate chasing touchdowns to this level because it's not like the yardage has been overwhelming. But again, like Purdy is so dialed in right now. He looked so awesome last week. I hate the fact that he had that interception late in the game, and it was the same problem that he's had when he's had turnovers. Is just he let the ball go high. But like the fact that they have, and it's such a credit to Kyle Shanahan, the fact that they are in position to be the 1 seed in the NFC, and the way that he looks right now, and they may get a couple guys healthy, especially with Pearsall back, but getting like Gross Matos back last week defensively, like they're just getting healthy at the right time for what their health is. I don't know. I think if Purdy was playing the entire season, we'd be talking about him as an MVP candidate. He's just looked so good the last few games. Love the fact that Jennings has just been one of his guys. So I'm going to start Jennings.
And just look at the touchdown streak. I mean, you're going to have Colby Parkinson PTSD from this, but he's scored in 6 of his last 7 games.
I know, but that's just not sustainable.
Well, but so last week we could have brought up that he had scored in 5 of his last 6, and you would have said, I know, but this isn't sustainable. Well, what did he do? He had 5 for 71 and a touchdown.
And he's got to getting 6+ targets per game. It's not like he's getting 2 or 3. It's not like Isaac Tesla. Like we're not talking about a guy that just relying on touchdowns.
Sure.
The yards are gross, but he's still getting chances.
Yeah, I don't think Pearsall's return is enough to scare me off of Jennings at all.
I mean, what's weird is Pearsall came back his first 3 games. He was horrible. And then week 15, he comes back and Pearsall had a great game. And while Pearsall was on the field, Jennings only had a 10% target share. But it's a lot to ask for Pearsall. Like if Pearsall plays, you guys going to have any confidence in him?
Low end number 3 receiver, desperation play.
Yep.
I would have 0 confidence in him if Kittle plays. But if Kittle is out, Kittle is crushing it right now. I mean, he's in the freaking zone. So it's a huge void that they have to fill. And I think, I feel like we should talk about that with Purdy. Are you going to knock Purdy down if Kittle doesn't play?
Not really.
Yeah. I mean,
it makes it easier to start Lawrence, though.
I think when you look again, Tonjes is not Kittle.
Nope.
But like you saw, that was a touchdown last week. Still a red zone option for him.
He had so he played. If you want to go through Tonjes here, he played weeks 1 through 6. He caught a touchdown in week 1 after Kittle left. Scored 7 points at New Orleans in week 2. Scored
Mac
4
Jones.
points. 4 points against Arizona in week 3. Mac Jones. He had 5 targets, 3 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown in his only game with Brock Purdy.
The game in Seattle was a Brock Purdy game too.
And week 1 was Brock Purdy. I'm sorry.
That's only game I'm talking about. Yeah.
Which game in Seattle? Oh, week 1.
Week 1. It was kind of a fluky touchdown.
All right. So he's caught 3 touchdowns from Brock Purdy this year.
3 of 4.
It's pretty impressive.
Very
the Bears
nice.
19th against tight ends. All right. It's interesting. You know what? I think I'm going to drop Colby Parkinson and pick up Tonjes. And then if Kittle plays, I'll play Tyler Warren, I guess. I'm going to get my ass kicked. Sorry.
Oh my God. A curse word. I have to apologize to the audience for that. Sorry.
I do wonder if Ricky Pearsall could have a really big game if Kittle's out. I think he's always got that potential. He's a downfield guy. He a lot of yards per catch. Just needs the targets. That's something to think about. Start McCaffrey. All right. Next game. Giants are at the Raiders. Jamie. Genty. Yay. Right.
You got to hope so. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was a monster last week against a really tough defense. And now he's facing arguably the best matchup in the NFL this season for running backs, number 2 in most fantasy points allowed to the position. So they're up there in the conversation. So you got to hope that this was the Genty we were hoping to see all season. What we saw last week, 128 yards rushing, 60-yard touchdown catch. Like he could just absolutely be a monster in this matchup. So hopefully that's the case. Must start guy. I think he's the only Raider that's a must start guy. Mayer is in the borderline starting conversation for tight ends because he's had some good moments earlier in the season when Bowers was not there, but it's not someone you want to trust in your championship week. Like, again, if we're talking backup tight ends, I would much rather have Tonjes if there's no Kittle than Mayer without Bowers there. And I do think Trey Tucker is worth a look just because the Giants not great at defending receivers, as we know. And in the 4-game stretch where there was no Bowers, in 2 of those games, 3-game stretch with no Bowers. In 2 of those games, he was over 11 PPR points. So desperation, number 3 receiver, you got to be really desperate. I think he can get there. And that's where he was last week too. I like the fact that he gave him 2 carries. So trying to manufacture some touches for him. It's just a very difficult passing attack to trust. So as bad as the Giants are, I don't think you want to look at it and say, okay, this is any sort of certainty with any of these players.
Actually, yeah, I wanted to bring that up with Tucker because in the 3 games without Bowers, weeks 5, 6, and 7, he led the team in receiving every week. Mm-hmm. And he had the 1 game, 5 catches for 33 yards. That was a game where Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett combined for 75 passing yards in that blowout at Kansas City. But Trey Tucker did lead the team in receiving with 62 yards, 70 yards, and 33 yards in all 3 games. Yeah, we're talking about teams that are in their fantasy championship. I can't imagine a ton of you are starting Trey Tucker, but there might be a league out there where it actually matters. Yeah, Dave, I don't know why. I feel like if Andrew Thomas were playing, I assume he won't. I feel like I would be confident in the Giants. The Thomas thing kills me. They're never good without him, ever, basically.
Agreed.
But, I mean, they're indoors. They've had some rough elements. The Raiders actually are not that bad defensively. They don't give up big plays. They are one of the best in the NFL at eliminating big plays. I want to believe in the Giants, but I just don't. So who's the best Giants to start? You think it's Wan'Dale? You'd start him over Tracy?
It's close between Wan'Dale and Tracy. For now, I have Tracy a little bit ahead because I figure he's still going to be the lead running back, and he gets some catches too. And there's just a higher floor for him than there is for Wan'Dale Robinson. But it's like I said earlier in the show, I can't trust this coaching staff in New York right now after what happened last week.
Well, why would you use last week though as the barometer? Like that
because
to me makes
what
no
did they
sense.
do? They came into a game against Minnesota and they said, we're going to try and just run the ball as much as possible.
Yes, that made a ton of sense.
Yeah,
it did make a ton of sense for what they were doing, which is trying to not win the game.
No,
I don't know if I agree with that.
I think it was a great game plan to put them in a position to not win. And I think that's what they're trying to do.
I don't agree with that at all. I think you're talking about an interim coach
got a
that
hot
he can be a head
quarterback
coach somewhere. You have players that are trying to still establish themselves as guys in this league. They were trying to stay away from the strength of what Minnesota is.
Yeah.
And knowing full well, which the Lions apparently didn't realize, because I don't understand. They got lucky scoring that touchdown. Why Dan Campbell's not kicking field goals because that other offense could not move the ball.
Completely agree. And punting too.
And it just made no sense should they have thrown the ball more? Yes. Was that the right game plan to try to run on Minnesota? Absolutely. That was the right game plan to try to run on Minnesota.
Well, by the time they needed to throw the football, their offensive line was decimated. Jackson Dart was in the medical tent again. I don't feel comfortable with these guys.
That's perfectly fine. But to say that they went out there trying to lose because they ran the ball against
Minnesota.
I'm
saying that, all right, fine. Maybe that's a bridge too far, but it was still a game plan that was suspicious to me. Okay. Fine. No team goes out there trying to lose. I shouldn't have said that, but it was suspicious that they decided to go that route.
Okay. So Jackson Dart, someone's asking Jackson Dart or Jordan Love?
Love.
They'll be close. I'd rather go with Love, but I would not be surprised if Dart has a good game. Remember, there's depending on who you listen to, there's some chatter out there, and I don't know how you feel about it as a Giants fan, Adam, that the Giants should get the 1 pick and trade Jackson Dart.
No, I do not feel that they should do that, but I haven't scouted Mendoza enough yet. So we'll see, but no, I don't think they should. So Jackson Dart or Tyler Shuck?
Shuck. That's close.
Bryce Young against Seattle.
Dart.
I think I have Young higher.
Kirk Cousins.
I think you're in trouble in fantasy either way.
All right,
I have Dart higher. I have Dart higher than Young, but you're in trouble either way.
Okay, Tyrone Tracy Jr. or Michael Wilson?
Wilson and PPR.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. or Christian Watson?
Tracy.
I will probably end up with Tracy over Watson, but it's going to be close.
Most of the year, the Raiders have had a good run defense. They've struggled a little bit lately, and they've allowed 15 rushing touchdowns in 15 games to running backs. All right, I have some questions here. Tyrone Tracy or Blake Corum?
Tracy.
I agree.
Tracy or Rico Dowdle?
Tracy.
I'll go Tracy.
Darius Slayton, Luther Burden, or Parker Washington?
Not Slayton. I'll probably go Burden over Washington.
I think I will too.
You going Wan'Dale over
both of those guys?
Wan'Dale over, no, I was going to say like Luther Burden, but not over DJ Moore. If Luther Burden plays, would you go Wan'Dale or DJ Moore?
Wan'Dale.
I'm probably going to end up with Wan'Dale.
Okay. Here's a good one. Tracy or Pittman?
I don't feel good saying this. Tracy or Pittman? Tracy.
Tracy or Flowers? Oh, this is Ted or McMillan or Flowers, but I'll change it to Tracy or Flowers.
McMillan over Flowers.
And Tracy over Flowers.
Tracy over Flowers, assuming Lamar doesn't make a miraculous recovery.
Here's one that says, Dave is right. The Giants are losing on purpose. And let me tell you something.
I don't think
like a
they're.
homer.
I think they're finding creative ways to lose games. Yes.
The sad thing is, JDS, they're not losing on purpose. They're just this bad.
And they're going to especially be this bad with it. It really does come down. Let's think about what we learned from the Lions game on Thursday. If the offensive line is just in such bad shape, and we've seen it before. Adam, you talked about this. It's hard to be confident in any of these guys, especially when your quarterback.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize the Raiders' offensive line was so good.
No. Listen, I'm not talking about the Raiders' offensive line being good either. But who are we talking about from the Raiders that we love other than Ashton Genty?
No, but you're making it seem as if the Giants went out there to lose last week on purpose because they tried to avoid the strength
I'm
of the
taking that
Vikings
one
defense.
back. But
And now they're going in there against a Raiders team that's so bad also.
they're bad. Were you talking about Raiders' defensive line or offensive line just now?
Both.
Okay. They've got Max Crosby. They've got a good
Who may not
defensive
play.
line.
It's not
Yeah,
just
if he
Andrew
doesn't
Thomas,
play,
also-
then it sucks on sucks, but I'll still take the offensive line as being worse. It's bad for the Giants with that offensive line.
Yes, they have 2 offensive line injuries. Last week they had 3. This week they currently have 2 guys who were listed as did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday.
But it's Thomas at left tackle. Like it's clearly that guy that when he
Right,
doesn't play, things go backward. I don't even know if we get a full game out of Jackson Dart because if Max Crosby's up against a backup left tackle and Dart's been spending time in the medical tent each week, I mean, it is what it is. I hate talking about this, but that makes me nervous to start Jackson Dart.
Drop my phone. Great. Giants DST. Where are they ranked, Jamie?
Just outside the top 12.
Dave?
Nowhere near the top 12.
Oh, okay. Seattle's at Carolina. Updated stat of the game. Panthers have allowed 8 touchdown passes in their last 9 games. That includes games against Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford. Panthers are a weird team, man. They could get killed or they could win. They are just
They really are.
I don't know how this
Well, they
game
can't
is.
tie.
What's that?
They can't tie.
They definitely can't tie. No way.
They refuse.
But they've been pretty solid defensively lately. All right. So Darnold or Dart?
I've got
Dart.
Sam higher. I'm almost sure of it.
Dart for sure.
All right. But that's just to tell you, we don't want to start Sam Darnold
No.
if you can avoid it. And Ken Walker is your favorite running back in this game?
Yes.
Reluctantly.
We did a breakdown of him on Beyond the Box Score on Monday. He has had only 2 games this year where he's had more than 60% of the running back carries. He's usually around 55%. It's just not enough. It's not enough, Dad. And then the receiving totals are never reliable with him, although that's been better for him. I feel like the receiving total, he's at a target per route run rate of 18.8% or higher in 6 of his last 7 games. He has 3 to 4 targets in 5 of his last 6 games. Problem is, he's coming off the field near the goal line, most likely. It's Ken Walker we're talking about.
Did you see the video game meme of him that's been making the rounds?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
It's so funny. It's him in a breakaway run, and right as he gets close to the goal line, he just dives and falls down.
And then Charbonnet's in on the next play, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
But that's how it was even last week.
Yeah.
Like Walker looked great. He had that awesome breakout game, and he had a couple of just like huge plays, and everybody knows it. But he didn't play the most snaps. He didn't play near the goal line. He didn't play on 3rd downs as much as Charbonnet. It's the same role. It's going to be the same thing. I can't say that Walker's going to be awesome just because he had the game that he had last week.
I just can't tell you how satisfying it was for me to drop Rico Dowdle in a league, and he didn't even get picked up. It was such a spite drop. But it made sense for my roster. I didn't just do it for fun. But I was like, there is no chance I'm starting Rico Dowdle. Who's the best start in this game other than JSN?
That's a great question. Probably go McMillan next.
Yes. And it's scary as hell because we know that Seattle defense is great. Jamie brought this up earlier in the week. The offensive line for Carolina could be getting healthy. Aquanu, their left tackle, full practice so far this week. Robert Hunt coming back from a biceps injury. He's been limited this week. That greatly improves their offensive line. That makes it much more of a challenge for Seattle's pass rush against Bryce Young. And Bryce Young has thrown, when he's had time, man, he's made some really good throws this year. If we're expecting Seattle to build a lead, or even if the game's competitive, this could be one of those 8+ target games for Tetaroa McMillan. And just given wide receivers and how much uncertainty there is, you might gravitate toward him in full PPR. It's not really the worst thing in the world.
There's a comment in the chat about Dowdle hitting his bonus last week. He is 70 total yards away from $1 million. So I don't know if there was a bonus that he got last week, but I know that's the
He
one.
might have been.
I don't
I've
even
got
see,
it right here. Hold on.
I don't even see Reek Woolen on the injury report.
No, looks like he's going to play. Kobe Bryant's on the injury report.
Yeah,
He
so
hasn't practiced all week, but he's the only guy.
Right.
And Derek Hall suspended.
Derek Hall is suspended.
Derek Hall, yeah, he's a linebacker. He's suspended. But that's really interesting because I think with McMillan, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like he had those couple games where he had very few targets, and I was like, that was just weird. Usually you can at least rely on him to get about 8 targets. I feel like he should get that. But Seattle's been so lights out against wide receivers. Not having Kobe Bryant is a big deal. But this sucks that they actually are, for McMillan, that they're actually pretty healthy in the secondary, because basically it's only superstars that do well against them for the most part. It's not entirely true. But Jamie, how you feeling about McMillan? I think he's around 22nd or so in the rankings.
Go back to the Wednesday episode of Tough Calls. I mean, he's in that conversation for a reason. So you hope that he gets the targets. You hope that there's a situation where the Seahawks playing with the lead and Bryce Young is forced to throw, and those guys get their opportunities, whether it's him or Coker or both. I just think you got to treat McMillan in a similar range as Zay Flowers with a backup quarterback, and Michael Wilson with Marvin Harrison there, and Watson with, banged up Jordan Love. Like, there's just a lot of question marks. This is why this position has been very challenging all season long. And going into this week, we thought we had slam dunks and Pickens and Lamb and, several of these guys, and they just haven't delivered so far, and probably going to be disappointed again. I just think you hope that game script wise, McMillan's involved and can come through with a big, a big stat line. I know for me, I have him in one league, and my choice is between him and Brian Thomas and Emeka Abuka, and I'm sending Abuka of those guys.
Mm-hmm. And you'd start him over Brian. If you could only pick one, you'd pick McMillan, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's a start. Let's hope for the best. There's obviously bust potential, but there's going to be that with almost every wide receiver in that range. You'd start Jacoby Myers over him?
I would.
Juwan Jennings over him?
Yep.
Yes.
How about Michael Carter over? Would you start Michael Carter or Tetaroa McMillan?
No, McMillan.
I think so. Yeah.
You wouldn't start Dylan Sampson or anything like that over?
No, you're getting too cute.
Yeah,
you might be right. It could end up working. Right. But I feel like it's getting too cute.
I am cute. Thank you, Dave. I got some questions in the chat. Let's see. Ken Walker or Dylan Sampson, PPR?
Still Walker.
As of now.
Pick 2 out of 3. Walker, Dowdle, McMillan.
Sit Dowdle.
Man.
Agreed.
Scott, you better watch this game, right? You got a lot on the line. Rico Dowdle, Blake Corum, or Emmanuel Wilson. We're expecting Jacobs to play. The answer would be Wilson if Jacobs didn't play, but Jacobs is off the injury report. So Rico or Corum?
Corum.
I still have Rico higher.
Rico or Stevenson? That's an easy one. We're going Stevenson, even if Travion plays, right?
Correct.
Probably.
Tetaroa or Michael Wilson?
Wilson.
Last one. Charbonnet, Carter, or Rico Dowdle?
Carter.
I believe I have Carter the highest of the 3.
Did I miss anything from this game? We're not starting Rashid Shaheed or Cooper Kupp. Right, we're good, right?
I think so.
AJ Barner, any interest in him?
Not really.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, I didn't say Bryce Young's name. How you feel about Bryce Young, Dave?
Number 2 quarterback, desperation start in 1 QB leagues. And that's, that's also part of the problem with Tetaroa is if we don't love his quarterback, how can we really love Tetaroa? And I don't think we do. It's really just coming down to player with huge upside, tough matchup. I don't know. I can't start Bryce Young. I don't feel good about it.
Rams are at the Falcons. Matthew Stafford is a top 3 quarterback. So we're approaching this game as if the Rams are just going for it. They're just going to play. You want to back up Stafford with Garoppolo or something like that. That's fine. But he's a top 3 quarterback. I think 3rd for Jamie, 2nd for Dave, and number 1 for Heath. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. These guys have been scoring a lot. They'll run on it. They run all over everyone. They don't get a ton of carries, but they're both averaging about 5 yards per carry in their last 9 games. So Jamie, give me your thoughts on the running backs.
Kyron's a good number 2 running back. Corum's a good flex. Corum has actually done a great job finding the end zone. So if you want to talk about Juwan Jennings and chasing those type of touchdowns, Corum has 3 straight games with 11 plus carries. He scored 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He scored a touchdown in his last 4 games, I think. But just finding the end zone, and that's something that is really scary when you're not talking about a guy getting 20 plus touches per game, and certainly no work in the passing game. But you are talking about a Falcons team that could get just blitzed here and struggle because of how good the Rams are. That being said, I think the Falcons offense can show up here and make this a game. So I think Corey just treat him as what he has been, a touchdown dependent flex. Why I like him better than Corum, why I like him better than Rico, for example. I just don't trust the matchup for Rico, and he's also become a touchdown dependent running back as well. So I'll take the guy in the better offense. But in the case of Kyron, I think you're just hoping that he gets a touchdown opportunity here or finds the end zone. He's gotten opportunities, but finds the end zone and doesn't get Corumed and lose those touchdown chances.
I'm trying to look up a stat real quick here. Since week 9, they had a bye in week 8. Since week 9, carries from the 3-yard line or closer. Derrick Henry leads the NFL with 9. Blake Corum is tied for second with 8. And Kyron Williams has 6. So that's 14 amongst the 2 of them. That's amazing. In 9 games, they have 14 goal line carries. I say goal line is the 1 to the 3-yard line. There's no hard definition for it, but they get their opportunities. And Kyron in his last 11 games is on pace for 241 carries. So he's not getting whatever. I'm talking in circles. Start Puka Nacua. There's no interest in another Rams wide receiver, is there?
No.
Okay. And then Parkinson, I thought to myself, Parkinson, maybe it's just one bad game. He's still got some appeal. Part of me believes that, but the Falcons have allowed only 2 touchdowns to tight ends this year.
Yep.
He's totally scoring.
Right.
I'm not recommending him as a start. I'm desperate for a tight end in my keeper league. And I don't think I've got the stones to start Colby Parkinson, but after last week, I feel like I've seen it 100 times. That guys, the week after everybody's on them, they come back and they dunk on us. We're getting dunked on.
So this is a good question here. It says pick up and start Kirk Cousins if Matthew Stafford sits. And maybe there's a scenario. Yes. If Stafford sits, that could mean they're sitting players on defense too.
And on offense.
It's
this is you want to talk about the 49ers tight ends versus Loveland. I would start the 49ers tight ends. If you're talking about the Rams quarterbacks versus Cousins, I'd rather start Cousins over Garoppolo.
Right.
In that scenario. So yes, if you are concerned about Stafford not playing a full game or sitting, which I don't think is, he's chasing the MVP. It's a spotlight game.
I agree. I
think, facing the NFC South winner is a very important deal. So I'm going to guess the Rams play their guys the majority of the game. If there's a blowout either way, maybe we see Stafford sit. If there's a blowout positively, clearly it's because of Stafford. So yes, if you're concerned, back up Stafford with Cousins. That's the way.
I think you have to literally see a report saying the Rams are going to rest their starters. If you don't see that, don't speculate. Just start Stafford.
So in case anybody missed, we just got a question in the chat. Why would Stafford sit? So the scenario would be is if both Seattle and San Francisco win, the Rams have no chance to get the NFC West division title or the 1 seed. And so they would be locked into a wild card spot. That's why we're saying that.
Yeah. Okay. So on the Rams side of the ball, start Bijan. Cousins is not like a horrible play. He's 19th for Jamie, 15th for Dave, 23rd for Heath. Rams are giving up some points to quarterbacks these days.
He's been good the last 2 games, but he's been facing, crappy competition.
Yeah. And we've got Drake London at wide receiver 17 or 18. We just don't know how healthy he is. It's a good matchup right now. The Rams are 24th against wide receivers. 13 wide receivers have scored 15.6 or more fantasy points against them. So you don't have to fear the matchup. You just have to fear the outcome, I guess, for London. I asked you earlier, Kyron or London. Dave, I think you said Kyron, right?
Yes.
Jamie, Kyron or London?
Kyron.
Okay. And then Kyle Pitts is tight end 4. And the great thing is he's getting, in his last 2 games, 5 red zone, 3 green zone, 3 end zone targets in his last 2 games. This is something that is more than he had in the first 13 games combined. in terms of, he has more red zone targets in his last 2 games, more end zone targets in his last 2 games than he did in his first 13 games combined. And that you need that because he wasn't scoring touchdowns. And yeah, we love Kyle Pitts. So I've got some chat questions. Let's see what we got. We got Corum or Ramondre Stevenson. So let's say Travion Henderson plays. Would that even be a tough call for you?
Still Stevenson.
Barely, but yes.
Pitts over, would you, how about this? I have Trey McBride. Would you start Pitts or DeAndre Swift in PPR?
Who
Are
asked
you
that
related to
question?
Jeff?
Did I ask this already?
No.
No, but you every Jeff question.
What do you want me to say? He keeps asking questions.
Oh, he's doing a great job. I just listen.
Look, Jeff A's are good. I mean, Jeff Sills, good questions. Keep it coming. Pitts or Swift, PPR?
I'd play the tight ends.
I would too.
Stafford or Hurts?
Stafford.
Matthew, as of now, Stafford.
Okay.
I can't see that we would know something by Sunday morning that suggests that Stafford is a bench for Jalen Hurts.
I'm playing against Stafford in both. Oh, Jeff again. Please sit him.
Welcome to Fantasy Football Today with Adam Azer, Dave Richard, Jamie Eisenberg, and Jeff Sills 134.
Oh, that's great. Looking for more questions here.
Honestly, like I think I'm on the stream like 45 minutes on Sundays and then like another 15 minutes at the end. And I think Jeff probably gets in about 50.
Are you serious? I don't even notice. Not joking.
And you said it. He asked great questions.
Yeah.
But I really think like he's got like a buzzer to you or something. Like I'm asking a question like.
Oh, man. Well, he just said, love you, Adam. Love you too, Jeff.
Aww.
Merry Christmas. Rams DST is top 10.
I guarantee you, if this was like week 6 and we had our full audience, we'd have like 75 Simpsons avatars.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
They'd be wearing Giants gear and Canes gear. Like anything to get their question answered by Double A.
Would you start the Rams DST or the Saints DST?
Rams.
Yeah.
Rams or Seahawks?
Seahawks.
Yes, Seahawks.
Get a room. All right, I guess we don't have a ton of questions in here. Stafford or Drake May? The answer is Stafford. It's almost always going to be Stafford.
It is.
All right. Arizona's at Cincinnati. Here's the deal. Start Burrow, start Chase Brown, start Jamar Chase, start T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki's desperation tight end. Start Tonjes over him if you need a replacement for Kittle. Start Colson Loveland over Gesicki. Those are the Bengals. Start Brissett. Dave, who would you start Brissett over? Where's Brissett in your rankings, I guess?
He's right back in the top 10. I'm not going to ding him for last week. I've got him ahead of Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. Had him ahead of Goff and Nix yesterday. Had him behind Dak yesterday. I would start him over Justin Herbert, Tyler Shuck, Baker Mayfield, Jackson Dart.
Jamie, any thoughts more on Brissett, or are we good? Just expecting a lot of throws in this game.
Expecting a lot of throws. Keep an eye on the weather for that game. But
That's fair.
For now, he's a top 10 quarterback. And the only decision I'm struggling with in terms of my own team and rankings is him versus Hurts. Right now, I've Hurts one spot ahead.
The forecast is rain. This is from Kevin Roth at Roto Grinders. For now, models are keeping the really heavy stuff after the game. 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. So it shouldn't be that bad. It's going to be worse in Cleveland and worse in Buffalo.
All right. And if you want to hear about Michael Wilson, one question for each game. We talked about him for about 5 minutes. Marvin Harrison Jr. is outside the top 30, and Trey McBride is the man. So let's finish with Michael Carter here.
Well, just to put Harrison in perspective, and Dave, disagree with me if you do, but like I'd start Burden over him. I would start Christian Watson over him. I'd start Alec Pierce over him. I'd start Brian Thomas over him.
So let me give you some names of some other wide receivers and tell me if you'd rather start Harrison, because they're behind Harrison for me. Bucks wide receivers not named Mike Evans.
I'd still start Harrison.
I have it that way too. I don't know if I love it. Parker Washington coming off of his big game.
Torn, but right now Harrison.
I'm torn too. Josh Downs, Trey Tucker.
Yeah, this is the range he's in.
I think I'm going to move Marvin down even more. I don't feel good about how he's looked, and I've got questions about how much he'll play.
I agree. I think if he catches that touchdown, though, we probably have a different feeling about him.
Can we give AJ Terrell credit now? Because that was a great play he made.
Should have caught it.
Sort of agree with you, but it was also, both can be true. It was a great play. And it wasn't that far from being a good game for Brissett. You had that play, and you had McBride not being able to hang on to the touchdown either. So,
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
yeah. And McBride basically threw away his fantasy MVP trophy that I was going to mail him. All right, Michael Carter. Any confidence here? We got the best matchup in fantasy. He had great yards per carry last week, 11 carries for 65 yards. The 0 catches thing was nuts. Again, first game all season where a Cardinals running back did not have a catch. They usually have a lot of catches. That's what I was banking on with Carter. And the Bengals, they also give up the second most receiving yards per game to running backs. So there's a lot to like here. You do have to worry about Corey Kiner-Falefa, and DeMarcado will work in on passing downs as well.
That's great.
But Jamie, how are you feeling about Michael Carter?
I think he's a borderline number 2 running back. It's that was the first game, small sample size, but first game of 3 where he did not get 13.5 PPR points with double digits in carries. So hopefully he goes back and gets the work again. I doubt that this is hey, let's see what Kiner-Falefa can do or DeMarcado can do. But those guys can take away work in the passing game. That's the only concern, is that's really where Michael Carter loses. But they throw to the running backs on first and second down. I just think you're talking about a guy that could be a little bit of a trap back, because if he's not getting, let's say, 3 to 4 catches and doesn't get the touchdown opportunities, then we're looking at maybe at best like a 70, 80 total yard game. So the matchup's great. Opportunity's great. Those are the things you're banking on. Last week it was the same thing, and he just didn't come through. So I think you just treat him as a low end number 2/flex type option for this week.
Man, I have so many.
I would start him over Rico Dowdle if we want to go. I start him over Breece Hall, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love those 2 guys, and those are easy replacements. I'd go Tracy over Carter.
All right, here we go. Chat questions. Jamie says Tracy over Carter, Brissett or Trevor Lawrence?
Lawrence. That's great.
Oh my gosh.
That's very funny.
Scott says Brissett or Trevor Lawrence. This is Jeff. You said Trevor?
Yes.
Okay. Michael Wilson or Omarion Hampton, half PPR?
Hampton.
Hampton and half PPR, especially if Vidal's out.
Texas has been around us for a long time too, but he doesn't get the love that Jeff Sills 143 gets.
Yeah, he has.
No,
I also love The Simpsons, but don't know how to change my avatar. I'm leaning Brian Thomas Jr. over Michael Wilson. Am I crazy?
It's not crazy. I mean, if you just take the Wilson games with Harrison versus Thomas in the last 3 games, Thomas has been better. Well, not last week, but 2 of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy, but I would still start Wilson.
Cousin Ernest. Hey, Cousin Ernest. Is it crazy to start Brissett, Michael Wilson, and Michael Carter? That's risky.
It is risky, but
it is the Bengals.
depends what else you have.
Yeah, all right, let me do some quick math here. The total is 53.5. The Cardinals are 7.5 point favorites. So we're looking at like 26.
No, the Bengals.
Say what?
Sorry, the Bengals are 7.5 point favorites, 26.5. They have about a 23 point expected from Vegas.
Right.
So that's not great, but it's not bad. They could clearly go over that. Drake London or Marvin Harrison, we're going London. Michael Carter or Ken Walker, PPR.
Now you're picking this guy.
I'm picking Walker, but I don't really love it. I don't love either of these guys.
Travion Henderson, if he plays, or Michael Carter.
Henderson.
Yeah, it's got to be Henderson.
Front row says, donuts. Tell me why I should start Carter over Marks.
That's easy.
If you tell me right now, both guys are getting double digits in carries, I will take Carter over Marks.
I'm not sure Woody Marks is even going to be like a 50% of the snap back for Houston at this point.
Yep.
Carter or Chuba Hubbard?
Carter.
Very much agree.
I mean, I would take Carter over Rico Dowdle.
Carter or Blake Corum?
Carter.
Oh,
Shakir or Harrison?
The one problem with all this is that Michael Carter is not exactly a great running back. Like, he's capable of having an efficient game, but he's still going to share, and he could still not get many catches. I'm nervous about it, but it's just opportunity should be good. Matchup is clearly good. Hopefully the Cardinals don't let us down. Their offensive line's in rough shape too. I don't know if that matters that much.
Shakir or Harrison?
Shakir.
That's close.
2 more questions. 1, Holy crap, it's the last fantasy preview and game preview for 99.9% of us for the next 8.5 months. Thank you to the CBS FFT crew for all the content.
Wow.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you all for watching and listening. The dedicated YouTube audience is amazing. But also, we have a normal week 18. We'll do starts and sits. We'll give you DFS tips, and we'll also look ahead next week. If you're not playing in week 18, we will have a good amount of 2026 content as well. And then Big Farts says, does Miami lose to Ohio State? Well,
two things. Number one of the best things I can recommend to people who play fantasy football is to pay attention all year round. It took me realizing that all the way back in 2001, before I was anywhere close to having this job, as that being a secret to success in fantasy football. So if you're watching, you're panicking over week 17, maybe you snuck into the playoffs, maybe you're just now starting to play fantasy, stick with us all offseason long, or at least pay attention to the NFL offseason long. You'll be much better prepared for draft season next August. And number two, of course we're going to win against Ohio State. I totally don't get the line of the game is crazy. Totally don't get that. But I think Miami, I don't think they handle Ohio State, but I think they find a way to win just as they've done most of the time all year long.
All right, let's go get a championship. Tune in Sunday morning for all the latest updates. My little Homer Simpson guy that says goodbye to everybody. Thanks to all of you for watching, listening. For our producer Emma, for Dave, for Jamie, for Jeff, I'm Adam.
We got mailbag. Don't forget.
Mailbag.
Yeah, you're like making this tearful goodbye. You have another show to do in 2 hours.
Mailbag's going to be fun. We're going to make Dan take a color blindness test and see if he does better than me. I did horribly, but I think I'll do better than Dan. All right, we'll see you then. Have a good one, everybody.